Hello and welcome to another video from the only source of information you need to not only survive the current apocalypse but actually enjoy it. And today we're going to be talking about the same stuff we've been talking about for a year with this political situation that's going on. But today I'm going to try to keep it all scriptural because I want to highlight the importance of not being part of Satan's system of things. This human governments, economic systems, religious systems of the world are all under the control of Satan. And so we don't want to put any of our hopes or dreams into anything that is under the control of Lord Satan. So we're going to go ahead and read a few scriptures to get our minds right. And then I'll discuss it a little bit and tell you about something really good that's coming upon the earth that are mentioned in these verses. First one we're going to read is Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 23, which says, I know, O Lord, that the way of man is not in himself, that it is not in man who is walking to even direct his own steps. So God is basically telling us we are not smart enough or wise enough to decide our own futures, our own fates. And in fact, most of us learn that the hard way. But if we think about this verse, we certainly do not want to put our faith in another man. Because even though we may have some basic ideas about how we'd like to run things, when we vote for a politician, we're basically voting with the hopes that he'll do the things that we want done with this government, which if you've ever paid any attention to how things work, the fact is that never happens. All right, so let's go on to the next verse, which is Psalms chapter 146 and verses 3 and 4, where it says, Put not your trust in princes, nor in the Son of Man, in whom there is no help. When they breathe their last, they return to the earth, and all their plans die with them. Now, for whatever reason, this year has been the most politically chaotic year in the history of any country. I don't know why there are people that put their faith in each team. I understand that people who like normalcy are going to obviously pick the team that Trump was on because nothing was normal about the other team. But if you wonder, it's like, why did the entire world shut down for 2 years for no reason? And why did they suddenly decide that children needed the right, the constitutional right, to have their genitals mutilated without telling their parents? You know, why did we all of a sudden decide that women's sports needed great big men to compete against? You know, obviously I don't care about sports, and if you spend your whole life trying to accomplish some kind of sports goal and at the very end they put a dude in there, you know, I can understand that would be upsetting, but just getting to that point is the part I don't understand. But anyway, let's go on to another scripture about human governance and how we should feel about it. And this is at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. Whenever it is that people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. So obviously, even for any of us who live in the United States who are not Democrats, we could be hoping that the man who just took office will actually keep his promises. You know, he wasn't promising to do all kinds of weird stuff that's never been done before. He was promising to go back in time to live by the U.S. Constitution, which no president of the United States has ever attempted, but we'll give this guy a shot. Anyway, yeah, we don't want to think that this guy is going to bring about the peace and security that only God can bring about. But as we watch him progress, the guy who's president now, he is probably going to do a lot of very, very good things. There's nothing wrong with being happy over the good things that happen to us, whether it's from the government or some other source. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that this true peace and security that they're talking about is not the true peace and security that we're waiting for. We're waiting for the true peace and security that will come when Jesus Christ takes over as ruler of the world. Prior to that, any peace and security is going to be counterfeit. So anyways, we'll read one more scripture, and this scripture will lead us to a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So hopefully once I read this, you'll recognize it. It's Revelation chapter 13 and verses 1 through 9. And I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemous names on its heads. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. Its feet were like a bear's, and its mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but its mortal wound was healed. And the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast, and they worshipped the dragon, for he had given his authority to the beast. And they worshipped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" Now, a lot of people think that these scriptures are about the Antichrist, one particular individual. I don't think that's true. I don't know that it's not true, but it seems to be that it's actually speaking of the governments of humanity, because it says that they get their authority from the beast. The Bible clearly says it, 1 John chapter 5 and verse 19, that the whole world lies in the power of the wicked one, meaning that the beast gets its power from Satan. So we're going to finish reading this scripture from wherever we left off, and see some amount of hope that we can get from this scripture. And the beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. It opened its mouth to utter blasphemies against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in heaven. Also, it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all who dwell on earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. Now, the scriptures that I think should give us hope are earlier in these verses I just read, where it says, "And the beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. Now, if we recognize that events associated with the political unrest in this world are leading us into the last days, this should give us hope. Remember, I did a series a while back called Written in Stone, and in that I talked about the earth going back to a 360-day year. If you do the math, 42 months comes out to 3.5 years, or 1,265 days, which are the number of days that are spoken of in Revelation as how long we have to wait for Jesus to return once the moon goes full. So we're getting close, and we don't want to be on the wrong side when we get to the end. So if we see ourselves putting too much faith in the man who is currently the ruler of the world, we could find ourselves as those whose names have never been written in the book of life. Keep in mind that the world, no matter what world we're given, by whatever political leaders happen up on the scene, it is only Jesus Christ returned to his throne over the earth that will bring us true peace and security. Let anyone who has an ear listen. Love y'all, and as always, if you don't want to survive, don't listen to me.